Nothing in this world, nothing works the way you think it does. There's always more to the story. So there is now on the earth alien presence, which are the enemies of the human race. I am totally convinced, beyond a shadow of a doubt for myself, that there are such things as reptile aliens. Be aware that there is a war for your soul. So if nothing is civil, this way of courts. So I found that nothing in this world operates the way you think it does. Banks do not loan money. Governments are not empowered to protect you. Police department is not there to serve you. Institutions of higher learning, colleges and educational institutes are not there to educate you. The entire superstructure of civilization in the Western world is a combination of brilliantly put together and planned, well-planned schemes to direct the minds of the people in such a way as to serve their masters. And I've done that for a long time. And one of the biggest tools in the hands of the masters who run this world is Hollywood. Something is going on a massive scale around the world, or the concepts of secret societies, occult orders, and all that kind of thing. It's actually much bigger than you think. There's something far bigger going on the earth that most people are not aware of. In fact, something very big.
Something more.
Something goes all the way back into BC, back into the ancient world. There is a hidden agenda that's been in operation on this earth for thousands of years. All the presidents of the United States, all of them, have used the same terms. From George Washington, the terms he used and the things he said were taken directly from the ancient prehistoric world of the Anunnaki, the ancient gods, from the ancient Sumerians, Babylonians, Phoenician Canaanites, ancient Greece, ancient Rome. They all use the same word in the same term.
Okay, what is the term? What are the terms?
The term is the dawn of the new day.
Okay.
And the concept of the dawn of a new day is a sun rising between two mountains. And this goes back to the beginning of Christianity in the 4th century, when Constantine codified the religion called Christianity. Christianity is nothing more than, in my opinion, Christianity is the most popular rendition of the ancient cult story. This ancient thing that for thousands of years has been hidden from people, but the masters of the world, the kings and rulers have all understood. Christianity is telling you the same story, but you don't see it. So people are fixated on Jesus and on his ministry and never for a moment suspect that the entire story is the same ancient story that's been told by so many ancient cultures and is today part of the New World Order, Illuminati, Masonic orders around the earth. The entire superstructure of Western civilization has bought into this most ancient story, never realizing for a moment what they're doing. When we read in Genesis where God walked with Adam and Eve in the cool of the evening, the word in Hebrew, God walked with Adam, that Hebrew word means you can hear a footstep, stepping on leaves, stepping. You can hear the footsteps. That's what the Hebrew word means. So when we poetically say, well, God probably was with Adam and Eve spiritually. No, the word in Hebrew says God walked with Adam. You could hear his footsteps on the leaves. All of this implies in the Old Testament that whoever created us looked like us. And that's why the scripture says, God says, come let us make man in our image after our likeness. That's in Genesis 1. Genesis 1 and 2. But we have entities here from somewhere else, angels, gods, whatever you want to call them. Zechariah Sitchin calls them Anunnaki. But I am totally convinced of my own self that there are alien life forms here who look like humans. And yet they're not fully human. And of course in Genesis we're told that there's a world of difference. We understand in the book of Genesis a world of difference between an angel and a sons of God. Sons of God are not angels, and angels are not sons of God. Totally different concepts, totally different words. Sons of God are spirit entities, or entities from somewhere who look and have physical bodies and look like humans. They're called sons of God, while angels are spirit entities. So we're told in the Bible, again going back to Genesis, that the sons of God were messing around with women and got them pregnant. Well, I got to figure that these sons of God, their plumbing work the same way, so therefore they could get women pregnant. And I cannot imagine a woman being talked into bed by some hideous creature from another world, but I can see it if it's a handsome, good-looking man. Well, that's what the Bible said. Even homosexuals said they were beautiful, handsome men.
Okay, so
all of this I'm bringing out as biblical reference for my conclusion that there are, in fact, entities here, life forms here, and they are today, in my humble opinion, the people who are running this planet.
Okay,
it would not surprise me a bit.
Are these the Nephilim?
I don't know. They could be the Nephilim, because not all the Nephilim died in the flood. A lot of people, a lot of Christians will tell you, oh yeah, all the Nephilim died in the flood. No, that's not what the Bible says. It says that there was one of the Nephilim lived through the flood. His name was Og of Bashan. Og of Bashan was one of the Nephilim, and he lived through the flood and could reproduce and reproduce more like himself. We know that there have been skeletons found and way down in the earth around the world that are far bigger than we humans are today. Some of them 16 feet long, some of them 20 feet long, who we look like them. They don't look like us. They created us in their image and likeness. The human race on the earth is being prepared slowly but surely in a scientific method being applied to the human race to mutate the human race. to change us from being what we are today to a creature that the gods have in mind mutating again. Because these aliens have told us, the Air Force, that you keep poking your nose into our business. Every time something happens, you come out and poke your nose. So we just want you to know, the next time something happens and you poke your nose into our business, while you're out here poking your nose into our business, some of us are going to come visit your daughter. So you need to stay home and stay out of our business. Be aware that there is a war for your soul. There is a war for the spiritual. There's always been this question for thousands of years. All the great philosophers ask it about whether we are physical bodies which have a spirit in it, or are we originally a spirit which has taken on a physical body? Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? So whoever created us has enemies out there in the universe that are diabolical enemies. And we know this is true in government. You may see the president and the first lady and all of that is very prom and proper, but they have enemies. Powerful enemies. It was on the corner of Fairfax and Wilshire Boulevard in a little coffee shop called Johnny's Hamburger Stand. It's a little restaurant. I was sitting at the counter and I noticed peripheral vision. I didn't look over to see them, but peripheral vision, I saw two guys walk in. And as I walked in, immediately an electrical shock hit me. I almost fell out. I was at the counter. And the voice said, "Get out quick, you're in trouble, run." And so I grabbed a bunch of money, threw it on the counter, and tripped, trying to get out of the chair on the counter. I got up and I hit the side door and I ran north on Fairfax. And the voice kept saying, "Run, your life is in danger, run quick." And I ran about 2 or 3 blocks until I was just about out of breath. And then the voice said, "All right, you're safe now. You're safe now. Sit down." And I sat down, my heart was pounding again. And it was involuntary. I didn't make a conscious choice to run. I just started running. And the voice was yelling to me. It was actually like a yell. "Move quick, your life is in danger." So it happened twice to me. I have no idea what that all means. But I believe today the most serious evil organization on the face of the earth is the Vatican. That's my personal opinion. I think if the Vatican was done away with off the face of the earth, there would be a shout of liberation heard around the world. Because the Vatican, in my opinion, is the bulwark of this dark thing that's happening on the earth. So when you talk about Illuminati, when you talk about the really dark criminal stuff that's going on the earth, you're talking the Vatican. You're talking the Knights of Malta, which gave us the 6 men who founded the CIA in America, were all Catholics, members of the Knights of Malta. When you begin to look at the banking fraternities in America, like the Bank of America, Union Bank in California, all of these people who founded these banks and today are running the banking establishment are all Knights of Malta, Catholic Masonry. So when I hear people talking about the Jews this, the Jews that, and the Jews are responsible, I said, no, you better go back and do your homework. The Jews have been slaughtered all over Europe by the Vatican. You need to remember that for at least 2,300 years, Rome has dominated Europe. Under the Caesars of Rome, and in the 4th century, late 4th century, the Vatican comes into being, and the Vatican dominates all of Europe. All the heads of state, all the princes and kings and rulers, all the kings and rulers in Europe rule by the divine right. It's called the divine right of kings. What are you talking about? Who represents divine to give the king the right? The Pope. The Pope appoints certain families to be over the French. The Pope appoints certain people to be over the Germans and over the British. And so by divine right. Why? Because the Pope represents God. And the Pope says that this family is holy and that they should rule. And therefore they can now say they rule by divine right. And the whole idea of divine goes back to the chalice, and the Holy Grail. And in the Catholic Mass, you have the priest breaking the bread and then pouring the wine. Well, wine is made from grapes, and wine is red. So it's a red grape wine represents the blood of the atonement blood as a blood sacrifice. But where does the wine come from? It comes from grapes, and grapes grow on divine. And that's where we get the concept of the word divine, because grapes come from divine. So that's where we get the word divine. And once you begin to realize how the Vatican has, for over 2,300 years, Rome has dominated Europe, and in 1,600 years, the Vatican has dominated Europe. And Europe for 2,300 years has dominated the earth. So if you want to talk about conspiracies and you want to talk about evil, don't talk about Jews. You better talk about the people who would control Europe for over 2,300 years, Caesar of Rome, the Roman Catholic establishment. There's the real story. Now you're getting into mafiosi. Now you're getting into the fraternal orders of Freemasonry out of Europe, Knights of Malta. Now you're getting into the organized crime, Sicily, Corsica, and all of the profound drug running, white slavery, murder for hire, Vatican. I mean, even, what was his name, the producer of Godfather? What was his name? Francis Ford Coppola. Mm-hmm. And Godfather 3. Francis Ford Coppola and Godfather 3, the third one in the series, opens up with Michael Corleone being anointed by the cardinal in New York to be a member of the Knights of Malta in the Catholic Church in New York. What is he telling you? The connection between the Vatican, the Holy Father, there's nothing holy about the Holy Father. There's nothing holy in Israel. Nothing. There's nothing holy in the Vatican. There is nothing holy in Salt Lake City. There's nothing holy in religion, period. It's a way that their masters, whoever these entities are who are controlling the human race, they have set up certain institutions of learning, of education, religion, and government. That's why I've said you better go back and do your homework on where the history of the world comes from. I don't see the world being run by Jews. I see Jews being used But you will find that even Rothschild, the Rothschild family who we hear so much about, those Jews who were running Europe. No, if you go back and look at the history of the Rothschilds, you will find that Rothschild represented the Vatican. He was dealing for the Vatican. He was a Vatican banker appointed by the Vatican to deal for them, so that the Catholic Church would never be involved in all that terrible stuff going on in Peking. We'll let the Jew do it. Then, of course, if something comes out, well, it's Jewish, obviously. No, it's your money that he was handling. So if you really want to nail down the real enemy to America and then to the earth, I'm telling you, it's only taken me 48 years to get here. I was born and raised Catholic. I mean, my whole family were very Catholic in town. We were the most Catholic family in town. But I know history. And I know that the most criminal organization on the face of the earth, in my humble opinion, I don't know that much about it, I've just been looking at it for 48 years, is the Vatican. As far as I'm concerned, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to the world, is what's really going on in the Vatican. And that doesn't even bring up the subject of propaganda due. P2, the propaganda due, P2 Lodge, that was even mentioned in Godfather 3 twice. There's a Masonic order in Europe called propaganda due. It's called P2. And it's connected directly, P2 is connected directly through membership with Opus Dei and the Knights of Malta and the Jesuits. Jesuits, Opus Dei, Knights of Malta, Masonic order are connected directly to something called propaganda due, P2 Lodge of Freemasonry. P2 Lodge of Freemasonry is world famous to people who do research into criminal organizations. And P2 is pure, unadulterated, poured directly out of the trough, Nazism. Underworld organizations, drugs, human trafficking, pornography, violence, underworld organizations, all P2. They are the ones who are promoting the right-wing death squads in Central and South America, Mexico, the drug cartels in Colombia. We're talking Catholic, Knights of Malta, drug cartels, Colombia. Extraordinary vice on a level which it is hard for most humans to recognize, and it's all being orchestrated out of the Holy Father in Rome. This is why I've said so many times, there's never going to be a time in the history of this country that America will be saved. I don't believe America can be saved. I truly do not believe that America or the human race, I don't think it's just my opinion again, but I don't think the human race can be saved, and I don't think America can be saved, because so many millions of people just love the filth and degeneracy of the world we live in. They love it. They love the Holy Father and all the pomp and glory of all the politicians and kings and rulers and the pusillanimous pictures of Bush kissing the ring of the Holy Father. What does that look like for Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, in full color on the news, bowing down and curtsying and bowing down and kissing the ring of a Roman pontiff? The men who founded our great nation would throw up with this treason, high crimes and treason against the state by these people who call themselves America's leaders. You know, the Vatican has given us the mafia, drug running, prostitution, terrorism, violence, child pornography.
Do you think it's possible that these people can be stopped?
No.
You don't?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I categorically say no. I do not believe there is any reasonable evidence of anything of hope for America or for the world. That's my personal opinion. I think that the light at the end of the tunnel is a train coming. There's no doubt in my mind, for myself, I do not believe America or the world at large is going to be able to extricate itself out of this situation. No, I do not believe it's possible. And the reason why is because the people are too stupid. They're too ill-informed, ignorant, ill-informed, unread, self-centered, egotistical, materialistic, and downright stupid. And they don't care. Basically speaking, people don't care. The reason why I'm here doing what I'm doing is because of this mutation which is being foisted on the human race. It's being forced on the human race. This change that the masters of the universe, so to speak, have in mind for the human race is being foisted on us. You're being led down the garden path into something you don't know what's coming, that the U.S. government is in league with extraterrestrials.